You're listening to Capsule on liveinlimbo.com. This is an adventure into music, film, and pop culture. I am Sean Chin, and today I'm joined by two brand new faces. Two amazing individuals who I hope to have on the show more frequently in the new year. The first is Gilles LeBlanc, who is well known on Twitter by the name of ROCKthusiast. How are you, my friend?
What's up? Oh, I'm good, Sean. How are you today?
I'm excellent. How did you start off your day?
It started off quite early and with plenty of coffee, as I always need. And I'm actually joining you downstairs in my basement where my wife and I have been cleaning for most of the morning. So I don't think I've even been on Twitter today. So thank you for the compliment. But I've been lagging behind on my Twitter activity this morning. But excited to be on the show. So thanks for having me.
Glad that you're here. And so what did you have in your coffee? How do you take
it? I'm going just a little bit of milk kind of guy. You know, I don't like it completely black, but trying to stay away from the sugar.
That's good.
It's as long as the caffeine quotient is high enough, I'm good. So.
I just had some scrambled eggs and coffee. 2 cream,
nice.
2 sugar. Yeah.
Good stuff.
And our second guest today is Mary-Anne Wiltshire, our new fashion and lifestyle writer on Live in Limbo. And she also happens to be a friend of mine from high school. And she's also our film editor's older sister. So thank you for joining us. How did you start off your day?
I actually had eggs as well, but I had green tea.
Ooh.
No coffee over here. A little boring.
Really? No coffee at all? Or is that just like a lifestyle thing?
Oh, no. We've got our Keurig. I like my hazelnut coffee in the mornings, but it was just an easier choice this morning.
That sounds perfect to me. Do you guys like Star Wars?
That's a long story, Sean. I don't know if I don't know how long of a podcast this is, but I'm probably a little bit older than you guys.
Just a little.
Maybe just a little. So I can remember. I didn't actually go to the first one, but I remember as a kid, I was 7 or 8, going to Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars was my world back then. So in the early to mid 1980s, it was my complete world. So I have an interest in this, but I also have, let's just say, a lot of reservations. So.
And Mary-Anne, how about you? What's your history like with Star Wars, if any?
To be honest, it is not exactly as deep-rooted. I will watch the film. I think that watching the trailer, it really, J.J. Abrams, I think he does great work. So I do expect it to be quite good. And I feel as though if I don't go, my husband may disown me. So it's sort of that level of commitment. So I'll go and I'll enjoy it, but I don't have that history of following every last detail now.
Well, so they just released the highly anticipated teaser or trailer for Star Wars Episode VII, and they called it The Force Awakens. And it's a very brief clip, and they don't really explain too much, but apparently it takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi, and so we're supposed to see all the main characters recast in it, so that's cool. Jill, so what did you make of this trailer?
It was a tease, I guess, to begin with.
Yeah.
It didn't offer anything to me. I don't know, because I haven't followed it as much in the last little bit as I guess I could, because I was, as an old school fan, I was massively, massively disappointed in the prequels. Yes, I'm one of those guys, So I like to like it. Yeah, well, I like to liken it to, and I was actually thinking about this because, of course, besides the Rock stuff, I'm a massive Simpsons fan. Like Simpsons is my new world, I guess. But I don't know if you remember the episode, but there's the one where they do like a parody of the Phantom Menace. And like everybody is lining up, and then as soon as the film starts, it's just a massive disappointment for everyone. And the comic book guy is like, he's the first guy in line, and he's the one who's the most upset, but he's going to go see it 3 times anyway. I kind of liken myself to comic book guy in that sense, because I was severely disappointed in the prequels, and I haven't felt anything positive. I'm fine with J.J. Abrams. I like some of his work that he's done. The whole thing about it being under Disney's domain now, it irks me to no end. And I just feel that I don't think it's in the right hands. Let's put it that way. Not to say anything about J.J. Abrams, but yeah, and just all the rumors that you're hearing now about how they're going to bring back all the old people and cameos, and that maybe even Darth Vader is coming back. I just think this is going to be a massive disappointment. It'll make them huge sums of money, and it'll be popular in that sense. But
I agree. It's going to bring them and Disney, who bought them from Lucasfilms, so much money. That's when they're just milking the cow, I guess, right?
Exactly. So, and when it comes down to it, like what, if you want to call us critics, what critics think, they don't care whatsoever,
No.
Because it's all about going to be the marketing that's behind this. So the trailer accomplished exactly, I guess, what it was supposed to do, because it got the buzz going online, and people saying, "Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." And to me, I'm watching this going like, this is nothing. Like, okay, like they've got like what looks like a malfunctioning lightsaber, and
with the cross guard on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then my whole thing, and I actually tweeted this once, is that, like you were saying earlier, this is 30 years after Return of the Jedi takes place, and the Empire is still using stormtroopers. Like, they were defeated soundly. Like,
maybe there was a rumor that maybe that was not actually a stormtrooper. Maybe he was just like disguising himself as one or something. Like that.
Well, yeah, in the first part, but in the
there's more.
There's a part that almost looks like it's a D-Day kind of thing. Like the stormtroopers are like, they're all like in the spaceship and about to go into battle, but those are stormtroopers in there. At least it looked like it. So. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, that we haven't learned from our mistakes of the past. And I kind of, like equated it to what Disney's doing now. It's like you said, let's just milk the cow, because we know that it's going to make money no matter what. So
I'll leave my reservations. I have good hopes in J.J. Abrams, so we'll see. He did ditch the director role for Star Trek, which is interesting.
Yes. Well, and then that's kind of interesting too. I don't want to hog all the conversation here too, but at least when I was growing up, there were two distinct camps almost. You were either, I can tell you, growing up in the 70s and 80s, you were in two distinct camps. You were either a Star Wars fan or you were a Star Trek fan. And to have the guy who's now behind the reboots kind of both, I think is really weird. So,
I found that weird too. I didn't think he'd be able to do both. So I guess he said, I did two Star Trek films and let's go with Star Wars now.
Or maybe go where the money calls.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if someone's going to bring a dump truck full of money to your house, I'm sure he's not going to say no, right?
So. Yes, exactly.
Mary-Anne, what films or TV shows or works do you really like of J.J. Abrams?
You know what? I was sort of doing a little bit of research on IMDb, and just to go back to the Star Trek thing for a second, I didn't know that he had done Star Trek. So when I saw that, going to what Jill said, I was like, I thought that it was sort of this divide, Star Trek versus Star Wars. So I thought that was interesting. In terms of TV, Person of Interest.
Yep, I love that show.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic show. I know that he also did Believe, but I never really got into Believe too much. But Person of Interest I've watched with my parents here and there. I don't follow the series religiously, but I do think it is a good show.
Let's move into some music. So this week, another controversial topic. I know, Jills, you'll have a lot to say about this, and so will you, Mary-Anne.
Yes.
Rolling Stone released their 50 best albums of 2014.
Oh boy.
And after the whole Apple iTunes mess, automatically downloaded to 500 million iTunes subscribers, forced download, and lots of critical articles online saying that they're not relevant. Who names them the best album of the year? Rolling Stone named Songs of Innocence by U2 number one.
Rolling Stone, yeah.
Mary-Anne, what do you think?
I was that person who was immediately researching how do I get rid of this. I hate to say that. It sounds so ungrateful and so... I mean, it's someone's work of art and they've put the time into it. And it was a brilliant marketing strategy. Obviously, it worked. But it just didn't do anything for me. That, Rolling Stone tried to say it was the rebirth of the year. Bono was... It didn't do anything for me. And I got rid of it. I'm sorry.
It didn't do too much for me. Like, I'll say it's an okay album, not their best, not their worst, but it was just the way they did it too that kind of made people sour as well.
That probably added to why I was just like, let's just get rid of you. I didn't
fanned the
ask
fire
you.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jill, this must have really upset you.
I don't know if upset is the word, because considering the source, do you know what I mean? Like, because it's Rolling Stone, it's almost like when I first saw it, I was like, okay, well, now I'm kind of thinking, did Rolling Stone pocket some of the 100 million that U2 got for making the album, or for how they released it through Apple? It seems so very contrived and almost, part of the marketing strategy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as in, like, okay, we're going to do this all with Apple. Oh, and as part of the deal, we're going to make sure that it's promoted as the number one album. When, I think most people who, I bring it back to, I was having a conversation on Twitter, hey, big surprise, by someone whose Twitter handle is actually Bono Girl in Atlanta, ATL. And even she was like, I can't believe, Bono is everything to her. And she's like, oh, no, the album's not that great.
It was just underwhelming for such a huge, bold move. You'd expect the best of the best. And like Sean said, it wasn't their worst. It certainly wasn't their best, but it was just mediocre. And if you're going to pull a stunt like that, make it the best.
Yeah, that's a great word you just used, Mary-Anne. Very underwhelming. Yeah.
Yes.
Did it make any of you, like, after seeing this from the Rolling Stone, did it make you re-listen to it and make you wonder, like, did I get something wrong here?
I will admit I gave it a quick listen afterwards. I don't mind. I don't mind the first single. I don't mind it. I actually wrote about it for another article, saying how, it's still like a pretty good song for me. It may still make my top songs list.
Oh, will it?
Well, it's still got a good riff, but I mean, it's still in the same vein of, the big singles that they've been doing on their last couple of albums. It's almost like they have that one big anthem that they can bust out at events like the Grammys, at the launch, and then the rest is just sort of, I hate to say this because I do love U2, but I mean, it's just sort of filler, like
they rely on that big single to sort of lure you in, and then
exactly.
They do that all the time with like Vertigo.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm referring to. Yeah. Get on your boots, it's all singles like that. So. Yeah, and where is Beck? Come on.
Yeah, where's Beck? I don't know. Yeah, so what did you think of the whole list? Let's start with like the 20th one. Like, what did you think about that?
The 20th,
or like the top 20 of their best albums. Did anything surprise you or upset you?
Here's my joke. I honestly forgot that Bruce Springsteen came out with an album this year. So if they did one thing, they reminded me of that. I thought, even though I love the Black Keys, I thought Turn Blue was, it's way too high. It's way too high. It probably deserves to be on a top 50, but number 3 is way too high.
3 is way too high.
Exactly. I was pleased for St. Vincent that she was at 4.
Yep.
Because I think it was an amazing effort by her. And you know what? I can't even remember the rest of the top 20 because I see that and I'm just kind of angered by that.
Did you see St. Vincent at North by Northeast?
I'm probably ashamed to admit, no, I didn't. I missed. But I know she puts on a phenomenal act. Like Annie Clark is fantastic. What was I trying to say? But yeah, where's Beck? Beck is nowhere to be found. And he's up for Album of the Year for the Grammys. And where's Ryan Adams? Like those to me were like the two super big omissions. It's like WTF, really, but it kind of goes back to, is Rolling Stone really relevant? It's like it felt like a list that was slapped together.
Yeah.
And, it's just, and they're trying to appease to the most amount of people possible. So, I mean, they've got their country picks in there. Their appeal. I think Skrillex is in there somewhere.
Yeah, he is.
That 22, I think.
And it kind of goes back to almost what Mary-Anne was saying earlier. Like she used the word mediocre. Like you try to appeal to so many people, to try to stay relevant and mainstream, but you just end up being sort of middling and mediocre. Like that's how I kind of thought. So, but it generates discussion as it's obviously doing here. So
Right
yeah, are they doing something right? I don't know.
Yeah, and when you brought up the Grammys, it's interesting that you did that because I was thinking, okay, so we know, the Grammy nominations came out. And
we'll talk about that after, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely. But it makes you look at this list and think, well, what is missing, and how, what sort of basis?
How did this happen?
Yeah, where are the missing pieces here?
Mary-Anne, but our favorite Taylor Swift is at number 10.
I have to tell you though, Sean, until this album, I have been very vocal on Twitter, and I get sometimes a little bit of resistance, but I have not been a Taylor Swift fan. This is very new for me. This is very new. I know. Surprising to some maybe, but I didn't see this genuine girl that people saw and this America's sweetheart that they painted out, but she got me. 1989, she got me. I can officially say that the album deserves to be top 10, and I actually really like it, and I surprised myself.
I love the album too. It's a great album.
I think it's fantastic.
She's a great person too, and a performer.
I think her performance of Blank Space, that song is unbelievable. I think that, the songwriting, the performance, she sold me.
Jill, does your kid like Taylor Swift?
They're not as big. I have a daughter. I have a daughter and a son.
Oh, okay.
And no, they're actually not that much into Taylor Swift. Surprisingly, kind of. I think when the last time she was in town, I actually offered if she wanted me to take her, and there wasn't really much interest. I can't. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're the president of the Swiftie fan club, but
Shh,
no. But yeah, don't tell. Shh. This better not be going out too much. But I'll say that I haven't listened to the album all that much. But one thing that I will say about Taylor Swift is that in comparison to all the other, I guess, pop stars that are out there, and of course she started off in country and has transitioned to that sort of pop world. What I will say is that she deserves this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's she's doing it. She's doing what she's doing in the success that she's getting. She's getting with class.
Yes,
like she almost doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't have to. Now, whether some of that is like painted, or that's the image they want to portray of her. It's coming out as she's doing it with class. So she doesn't almost have to degrade herself to be, a pop star. She's doing it on her own and she's doing it with her talent. So massive props to her for that. And, to use the word massive, that's exactly what the 1989 tour is going to be when it hits.
I cannot wait for that next October.
Absolutely. And you know what? You can't deny that she has the talent. Whether or not I liked her music in the past, I always would say the girl can write, the girl can sing, and the girl can perform.
Absolutely.
So you can't take that away from her.
Exactly. Nope. And she's going to be like the only platinum selling album this year too.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to get this
again, well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I need to get this from both of you. I always ask guests on the show. So we'll start with you, Mary-Anne. Do you listen to your music on vinyl, CD, or digital download, or streaming? The preferred method or most used? My
most used would probably be digital downloading. I used to always buy the actual album in CD form, so I can have it in my car, what have you. But obviously now technology's moved a little bit away from that. So I've got my iTunes account, and I always will purchase the digital download.
Okay. And Jills, how about you? What's your preferred method of listening?
I'm actually a digital download guy too.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say vinyl for sure for some reason.
You know what? For as many people say that.
You're a young guy. You're a young guy.
I'm a young guy. Yeah, exactly. As many people try to say that with me, no, I'm not actually that much into vinyl. No, really. Like I have some, but they're more for like collector kind of purposes, I guess, like weirdly kind of collector. But to me, it really is. It's become digital, and it's just going back to, I guess, the Napster era when, it first kind of came up. It's like I got hooked in by that and not really have gone back. And not to get into it again, you only have a certain amount of time on this podcast, but one thing that I've tried to argue is that with a song needs to kind of hold up, no matter what format it's in. So you've got people who are saying that, it's so much better listening to vinyl because you can hear those cracks and, you can hear the quality and you can hear different kind of things. Well, to me, if I'm in my car or if I'm, listening to music in the most way possible, which is probably going to be on my computer because I don't have time to, set up my record player and put on a nice vinyl record. This music that I'm hearing has to, come at me and has to grab me no matter what the format. And so that's why I guess I kind of gravitate to some songs that, are going to sound good, digitally. Am I making sense?
No, that totally makes sense. And because people now, when they make the songs, I'm going to guess it's mainly from digital sources. So listening to it on a digital format is the best way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Because I listen to most of my stuff in my car and on my computer.
Yeah, me too.
I load everything up onto my little USB stick. I plug that into my adapter in my car. That's
too messy, man. That's too messy. You got to go with streaming now. Sign up with like RDO or Spotify. You make your playlist.
I'm on Spotify,
and then it syncs up.
I may be still doing stuff with songs again. So we'll see.
Google bought Songza, so I don't like them anymore. Yes. Anyways.
I was actually with Songza doing playlists, and I may be back with them again. So
okay.
Okay. Giving that away. So
do you guys like Charlie XCX? She came in at number 6 with Sucker.
Yes, I saw that. You know what? She sort of represents this young Brit coming in. I mean, I know the sound doesn't remind me of Spice Girls, but there's something about her that screams like girl power. And I just think she's a really fun, edgy.
She's amazing live.
Yes, your photos that you had up on Live in Limbo were unbelievable. I was very jealous.
One day you'll get to see her. Yeah.
Sorry, did she do her own show, or was she here as part of a festival? I forget.
No, that was her show. Well, she was supposed to be performing at Time Festival, and then she pulled out.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then she got her own show.
Nice.
At the Hoxton. Yeah, that was a great show.
There you go.
Do you like her?
I won't try to make up something by saying I do. I don't know. I don't know her enough to know all that well. Sorry.
That's fine.
So apologies for going off onto a tangent, but to get into like a little bit of another tangent, but not so much, hopefully. In my household, in the morning, we actually listen to 92.5 KISS FM. Oh, yeah. I know, it's surprisingly coming from me, but I kind of like Rosin Mocha in the morning. But so I'll hear her because I know that they play her quite often. So I know of her. But if you would ask me like to name a song off the top of my head and whatever, I couldn't. But
you'll admit that she's catchy though.
Yeah, exactly. So she fits into that catchy kind of style that they play and that they try to appeal to. So good on her. Now, do I think it's merited of that high of a ranking? I don't know. I
thought 6 was high.
Yeah, that is high.
Yeah.
Let's move into something that all three of us are really passionate about. The Walking Dead.
Yay.
Season 5 mid-series finale titled Coda. Actually, fun fact, this episode had 14.8 million people tune into AMC, so pretty big.
They're doing okay, that AMC.
They're doing something right.
They're making some coin there. So first question for you, Mary-Anne. Are you a fan of the comics at all? I'm not. I'll just say, well, I'm a fan of them. I've only read the first two volumes, but I didn't go. So everything is like a spoiler now. Yeah?
Yes. I'll be honest. I have not even touched the comics, graphic novels, whatever you want to call them. My friend Nikki told me that they are unbelievable, but that's not a medium that is, my preferred choice. So I have not read them at all.
I'll have stones thrown at me now for calling it a comic. It's a graphic novel.
That's the English teacher in me, though. Sorry.
I actually would call them comics. I don't know. I guess they are graphic novels in a sense. I'm a huge fan of the show, but I mean, for me, again, showing my age again, ever since like Night of the Living Dead is one of my favorite movies of all time. Period. End of story. So that whole zombie genre, having it come back and seeing it in different ways, especially through The Walking Dead, I just think it's brilliant. So huge fan, as is my wife, and I absolutely love the comics, graphic novels, if you want to call them.
How did you get into watching it? Like, did you start as soon as it began, or did you find out?
No. I think what happened, if I'm going to get this right, is that we don't have AMC at home in our household, but we got it on free preview.
Okay.
And I think that was during season 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because that was when they were at the farmhouse. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's how I got into it as well. I remember that.
So the show had been going on for a while, but through Twitter, because I'm active on Twitter, I would see, hey, you got to watch The Walking Dead. This is a great show, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, well, like I knew the zombie genre and you would hear it. And it's like, okay, well, one of these days when I get a chance, I'll actually watch it. And I think I got into the show first because it came on. We had AMC on free preview, and they were doing, their marathons that they do all the time. And so my wife and I were able to watch the series from the start and get caught up for the start of, I guess it was season 3, when they first arrived at the prison. And it was the kind of thing where we were absolutely hooked. So the whole binge watching aspect, which is kind of funny because we've got 2 relatively young children, and some of the content in it, of course, is pretty graphic. So
I hope they don't watch it with you.
No, that was the thing. Like, I think they watched a little bit of the first one with us, especially my daughter, because she's more used to stuff like that. So, not so much into it, but so she was interested in it. So I think we let her watch the first little bit, but then what it was is that I think we PVR'd most of the episodes. So we have like those first couple of seasons on PVR, and then it's kind of like we would shove the kids like, okay, go play something or other, give us like half an hour so we could at least catch up, and fast forward through the commercials. So we caught up pretty quick, and we were absolutely hooked. We absolutely binge watched all of it. And then I believe it was a friend of mine who kind of said, oh, well, it's based all on a comic. So I went back and read the comic, and the series from a comic perspective is it's unbelievable. And it's interesting to see how, they don't take all that much from, they do borrow plot and storylines, but it's kind of like there's so much more that they could explore if they would do the comic, almost like as a straight, retelling of the comic.
Well, I like it because they don't do that. They, like Game of Thrones, they follow it pretty straightforward from the books, but I think AMC did a really good job at keeping to the bone, the skeleton of the plot line, but they add their own meat onto it as well.
Agreed, and that's I guess what
that was a great pun for it too.
Yeah, that's the one point that I wanted to say. I guess is that I've really gotten into this first part of season 5. Yeah, first part of season 5, because the latest storyline that they've been using is not in the comic whatsoever. So they've completely kind of gone off on their own direction, and I love that, because to me now it's really surprises that are coming out. So I can't wait for February for the show to start up again, so I can binge watch.
Me too. How about you, Mary-Anne? Do you remember how you got into this show?
Very vividly. So I'm not a zombie person, believe it or not. My husband absolutely obsessed with the show since day one. And obviously, I recently got married last year. So
congrats.
Now that I'm, thank you.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys. So now obviously I'm living with my husband, and Sunday nights were a very sacred time in his life. So I actually was a little bit scared of zombies. The imagery is a little graphic. So I would have my iPad and I'd have my headphones, and I'd still sit with him while he'd watch, but I would just escape into the world of YouTube. And then I slowly, as the weeks went on, would take my headphones off, and I'd start to get really engulfed in this storyline. And he said, you cannot do that. You need to start from the beginning. So this past summer, like Gilles said, you binge watched all the seasons, and I did the same thing, which was amazing. I never had to wait for those mid-season finales. And honestly, when people say this is a zombie story, this is a relationship story. This is a survival story. And to me, that just hooked me in. Like, I've never been so hooked to a show, and it's unbelievable. Every Sunday now, no one can disturb us. This is our viewing.
Yes.
No, everybody knows if you are to text us, it better be about Walking Dead. That's it.
I agree. And so, let's talk about this last episode.
Oh, yes.
Spoilers. We're gonna do spoilers. We don't care. So, just a warning to all the listeners
AMC
out there.
already did on Facebook anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
Which is which is interesting to
yeah.
tell a story. Yeah, because I actually saw that on Twitter before, because my wife and I actually watch it the next day.
Oh, no.
With our kid. Yeah, so it's like I saw it on Twitter, and my wife really, really, really was looking forward to watching it. So I saw it by accident, and actually AMC apologized for sending out that tweet. And so so like I saw it, and I was like, I went like, uh-oh, or something, and I had my computer. My wife was next to me when I had my computer, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I go, "Well, I can't really say." So
don't check Twitter. Do not go on Twitter.
No, I've learned that. But what was funny is that we said when we watched it, I was still surprised over it and how it happened. And obviously, we're referring to the Beth
gets killed. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was heartbreaking.
I couldn't believe it.
So that means Maggie never got to see Beth alive again since leaving the prison.
Exactly, and
the worst pretty bad, which is pretty bad, pretty heartbreaking.
She was told that she was found and she's alive, and this build up to their reunion. Oh my goodness, that was probably one of the most gut wrenching parts about it, because at first it's, oh my God, Beth is dead, and then it's, oh my God, Maggie thinks Beth is alive, and this reunion build up, and then obviously when we see Maggie react when Daryl's bringing Beth's body out. Oh my gosh.
But when it happened, when that moment happened, when she got shot in the head, I was like, wait, what? Did that really just happen there?
Yes, the way that it was filmed, it was almost as if we were there, and it was just this chaos and panic, and did this actually happen? And the fact that Beth had this brave moment, if you watch Talking Dead, I know, Sean, you do.
Yeah.
Emily, and after she says, Beth had this moment of almost too much confidence, a little bit of arrogance. So it's that question of, did she go too far?
I think so. That did not have to happen that way. And why was Noah there?
Yes, why was Noah there? Why would you bring
the guy that escaped to the negotiation? That was weird.
That just threw a wrench in everything, because obviously if he was there, that was technically the hospital's guy, so they were going to get territorial. I just couldn't believe that.
Yeah, everybody hates Chris, So. Sorry
That's
about that.
True. It's still relevant. Yeah. What were your thoughts? But so I just like how kind of in season 4 they built up the whole story arc to Terminus, and then they blew it up in 30 minutes.
Yes.
And then, what did you think of this season? Did it live up to the other ones?
I quite liked it, because it got me back into show. I'll admit there were circumstances that led to it as well, but my wife and I weren't able to watch much of the lead up to Terminus.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was able to follow afterwards by reading spoilers and stuff, I noticed some of the plots that they were, I guess, borrowing from the comic book. So I was pretty caught up with what they had to do. And I guess what I kind of like, but kind of not like about The Walking Dead, is that their seasons are all built up to, there's if you want to call it a terminal point. So for example, like in season 2, it was the farmhouse. Season 3 was the prison. Season 4, I guess was the prison again, and 5 was season 4 was Terminus.
Terminus.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So it's this all build up towards the relationships between the character and how they get to those kind of final points. So what I've liked about this half season so far is that, while the Grady Memorial Hospital was there and I guess could be considered a terminal point, it really isn't. They are sort of like kind of on their own. So, we can see that there's a buildup to it, but at the same time, there are still so many things that are kind of left up in the air. And, to me, create a whole bunch of intrigue for this that, kind of keeps you guessing, because not that it got predictable, but again, you could kind of see that, in the episodes that were leading up, it's like, okay, we're in, episode 12 out of, 16. So we know that they still have to reach this point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so that the fact that they have this all up in the air, is really, for me, is, really fascinating how they're doing this.
Mary-Anne, so what did you think of, like, like the season in total?
I think Hunt or Be Hunted could not be a truer or stronger theme. I mean, we see the human side of our characters, but then we see this side of survival. And if we don't hunt, we're going to be hunted. So I think that it's just been such a telling progression of where the characters have come. Um, you know, before Rick would always be the first one to let somebody into the group, and then as we saw with the prison, and then towards Terminus, the questions that the people that they would come across, how did you get to this point? How have you survived? And then now, are we even asking those questions anymore, or are we just assuming that if we don't hunt them, they're going to get us next? So it sort of shows this progression of where our characters have come, and all the loss that has been experienced has also been a gain, because now we know we can't necessarily trust anybody. So we always have our backs up, and we always, there's this question of who is going to throw the first sword, so to speak.
And that opening scene of that episode was great, where Rick runs over the police officer.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
that
just
was
bounces.
Rick is just ruthless now. And
You get one chance with him, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. And it's just the way that, he's been built up. It's not that he's not caring, but, he's at a point where not so much snap, because that's what was happening in previous seasons, but, he's way past that point now. And now he knows what he has to do. He knows he's seen as the leader, and he's got to make those decisions. And it's within those people that are in his group. And that's pretty much it. So.
Exactly. And they rely on him in a way. So if he lets them down, if he didn't run that guy over, the police officer, then perhaps he would have been the one to get somebody in our group. So Rick sort of feels this responsibility. Well, I did give you a chance and you didn't take it. I asked you to stop and you didn't.
Exactly.
And I'll stop you instead.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so in the next half of the season, I guess season 5, the second half, which characters do you think will step up or be shown the most? Because obviously Maggie's going to be, I guess she's going to be like on the low end of things now. She's going to be like really down.
Oh, I don't know about that.
What do you think?
Not to interrupt. She may. Well, and this is part of what I like, because again, they're not reliant on the comic anymore. Really, so that everything is kind of up in the air. So I could actually see a character like Maggie stepping up.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm worried about Daryl a little bit, because Daryl, we know he's got this guard up all the time, but Beth was one of those people, and Carol obviously, that sort of get his guard down a little bit. So I'm kind of worried about Daryl. I think that he could go either way. I think sort of like the Maggie situation, maybe maybe he'll become a bit more introverted, and maybe he'll I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm worried about Daryl.
That's actually a great point. Yeah, I can actually see that. Someone who you think would be not so much not caring, but that would almost brush it off, even though it was someone close to them. Like, I could see a character like Daryl like really retreating the next season, and someone like Maggie who would kind of surprise you, really stepping up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting, because I for some reason I see Daryl, or maybe even Glenn, as Rick's second hand. And so if Daryl,
I do definitely.
Yeah. Who do you think more, Daryl more or Glenn?
I think Glenn has the smarts a little bit, but I think there's something about Daryl. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm Team Daryl, but
he's a badass. Yeah.
He's a badass with that bow and arrow. I mean, that would be my right hand guy. I don't know.
How about you, Jules?
How can I say this without the comics? I haven't kept up. I'm about 5 or 6 issues behind in the comics, and I won't give away spoilers. But one thing that I did want to say, I guess, about the comics as it relates to the show is that in the last, say, I don't know, it's almost like 20 or 30 issues that I had read, the zombies become such a backdrop to the story. Like, you almost don't even notice that they're there, that the threat is even there. It's all about the relationships that Rick's group has with others, and like the struggles that take place in this new world that's happening. But to answer this question, I don't know how much you guys know about the comics, but I
Nothing
really okay, well then we'll just leave it at that. I really like the Glenn character, and I know people do. I'm just gonna say I hope he sticks around.
Uh-oh.
And
You're scaring me.
I just hope he sticks around. I hope he sticks around and develops into that Rick's right hand, because I think he is very well suited for that.
God forbid something happens to Glenn. Maggie will be finished. Her father, Herschel.
Oh, that's right.
Her sister, Beth.
Okay, just don't read the comics then.
I will not.
If something does happen in the comics, they can change in the TV show.
That's for sure.
Yes, but Robert Kirkman has given interviews, and someone asked him point blank about Glenn and oh goodness, I can't even remember. I'm drawing a complete mental blank. Rick's son. Sorry, Carl. Yes. Let's just say something may happen to Carl, and Kirkman has actually come out and said nothing is off the table when it comes to the show.
Yeah,
I hate that guy. That guy sucks.
So.
That's something we can definitely always predict, the unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I that's what I've loved about this last half season, is that, you really don't know what's going to happen. So
you must have a messed up mind like Kirkman to have like, sorry, Kirkman, but like to make these characters and you just pick them off one by one, even though all these readers love them.
Yeah,
exactly. And there's such complex characters, and there's so much intertwined history with them, and then bang, done.
Yeah. What a messed up guy. Anyways.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he's created this world that we care about so much.
So invested, absolutely.
Yeah, and then what's kind of funny, again, I don't want to keep going back to the comics, but I'll put this way, because one thing about the comics that's almost the best part is that there's a reader section at the end of them, and they'll answer questions, and the fans are so impassioned, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but there, at some point in time, there is a tiger who is introduced. Somebody was a zookeeper, in the past or whatever, and they save a tiger, and the tiger becomes this person's like companion. And
like in the Life of Pi?
Yeah, sort of. But then there's a conflict, and the tiger dies. Okay, and the venom that was expressed passionately about how could you kill off the tiger, Kirkman. It was just unbelievable to read. So it's amazing to see how it really has captured the imaginations and passions of so many people, like myself and my wife included, and obviously with you guys too. So
I can't wait to see the tiger on the TV show. How are they going to do that? Wow. That's going to be awesome.
Let's just hope.
Does it talk? No.
No, it's not a talking tiger.
All right.
It's not that kind of show. Come on, Sean.
Yesterday, I'm glad that this happened because it makes for a great relevant topic today. The Grammys, they announced their nominations. I think it's their 57th year. Yeah, 57 years.
Yes.
The Grammys. I think, so I think this is going to be the year of Sam Smith. What do you think, Mary-Anne?
Oh, I sure hope so. Honestly, that voice, it's just unbelievable. You can hear the torture and the pain that he had. I mean, the other day when he won an award, he said, I wrote a song about being all alone, and tonight I feel like the least lonely person. And you can hear it.
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful. And I mean, I could listen to him all day, all night. He's just incredibly talented.
What were your thoughts on the nominees, Gilles?
I think as much as the Grammys get beat up a lot, the same kind of Rolling Stone argument of, the relevance and, what they actually mean in the grand scheme of things, the fans and critics and whoever, I'm looking at the nominees, and I think for the most part, I dare say they got a lot of them right.
So album of the year. Beck is on there for Morning Phase. Beyonce.
Which is hilarious considering
Yeah, because you mentioned before Beck was not even on the Rolling Stone list.
Yeah, exactly. And, they're always going to do that. They're going to put like a rock/alternative kind of album as one. It's going to go up against a pop album. Like, it's not going to be all dominated into one category. So, the more that I thought about it, and that's kind of like a reflection of what this past year in music has sort of been, that there really hasn't been anybody from a rock, indie, alternative sort of standpoint that has really, really really, really stood out that you could point to and say, yeah, it's that album or it's that artist, without a doubt. But I think they made a pretty good choice with having Beck fill in those shoes.
So who do you think will take album of the year? We have Beck, Morning Phase, Beyonce's self-titled album, Ed Sheeran's X, Sam Smith in the Lonely Hour, and Pharrell Williams' Girl. Jills, who do you think will take it?
I think it's going to be the year of Beyonce.
Oh, okay. That's a good choice, too.
I'm okay with Sam Smith. Again, like back to what Mary-Anne was saying, phenomenal voice. He is also up for Best New Artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if he doesn't win that, like it's
I'd be shocked.
So they'll give him that, and he'll get like a little bit of the rub, if you want to call it, for being nominated as part of an album of the year. But I really think it's Beyonce's title to lose.
See, for the Best New Artist, I want Sam Smith to win Album of the Year. However, for Best New Artist, I really do like Haim too. Haim's really good.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
That's just fine. Well, they're girls who rock, But I mean, when you look at that, you see Sam Smith's name on there, like that's a slam dunk in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. So,
how about the Song of the Year? What did you think about that, Jills? We have Sia, Sia, Meghan Trainor, Taylor Swift, Sam Smith again, and Hozier.
Yeah, I remember seeing all that bass on it, and I'm like, oh man, you got it in your head, and you try to think, you can't really think of anybody else. But which Taylor Swift song is on there? Is it for "Shake It Off"?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'd probably go with her. It's probably not an easy choice. But again, it goes back to what I was sort of saying about Taylor Swift earlier. It's just she's got the right combination of talent and hard work and good personality, and that's a perfectly acceptable pop song. That again isn't. She doesn't have to degrade herself with, say, like an Anaconda type video or whatever. You know what I mean. So I'd have no problem with that winning.
Mary-Anne, were there any nominees that you felt did not deserve to be nominated for anything, or did anything like disappoint you, or you thought something should be nominated for something?
To be honest, like you guys mentioned, I do think they did a pretty solid job. Going back to Album of the Year, I do have to say my vote's for Beyonce as well. Unbelievable.
Oh, so you're not on the Sam Smith wagon?
I am.
What happened?
He is my close second. I absolutely think New Artist of the Year, if it wouldn't be Sam Smith, I think that would be Daylight Robbery, in my opinion. I just think that the self-titled album, Beyonce, I don't know, she hit it out of the park. A lot of different sounds from Beyonce, which I liked. In terms of something that I thought should be there that wasn't, it wasn't like the Rolling Stones where I sort of looked at the list and questioned my own, rating of music or whatever, but I think they did a pretty good job. I'm not upset overly by anything. No.
Okay, well, that's interesting because, so before we all agreed that U2's, I guess, their distribution of their album with Apple was very questionable. However, Beyonce, they also teamed up with Apple, but they released it in a different way. They did it with exclusive video releases. So do you think that was a big difference? Because they both teamed up with them, but just in different ways.
I think for her, well, if you're asking...
Yeah, Jills.
I think people see it. The public sentiment has been that was a legitimate, nice surprise. Do you know what I mean? Where the U2 thing, even if there's fans, and they'll still obviously have fans after this, and their tour will do very well. That seemed a little bit contrived, and they may have gotten some bad opinions and stuff, and there may be some backlash because of it. But for Beyonce, it was just honestly seen as a nice surprise. And then not only is it a nice surprise, it's like, oh, and it's a really good album to begin with. It's not a throw.
I think that's what it was too.
Yeah.
That didn't hurt.
It was an actual good album.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as in, arguably U2's Songs of Innocence is a bit of a throwaway, because again, this is what, their third kick in the can since since they did their last album, No Line on the Horizon, so they've been working on something different for a while, and it's kind of like, okay, well, we'll just throw this album together and give it the apple and we'll give it away to people. So it just they just felt a little bit contrived.
Gilles, I want to ask you, what is, out of all these categories, which one do you listen to or care for the least?
Oh, the least?
Yes.
Wow, nice
Which
question.
Category?
I was going to say, isn't it Mary-Anne's turn?
I'll ask her too.
Well, the easy answer to that is, maybe the electronic and dance. I'm not the biggest fan. It's rock and alternative are always going to be, priority. I don't even want to say priority, but what I'm going to pay most attention to. So to see, to see someone like a Beck, be nominated for Album of the Year, I'm going to have a rooting interest and I'm going to want to see the show. You know what I mean? Like, even though I not like 3/4 of it, at least, there's going to be, some things that are going to try to keep me interested and at least tweet about it.
Well, I know that's why you're called the ROCKthusiast, but the reason why I asked that question is because I want to challenge you to find that category, best dance electronic album, and I want you to listen to all of them, and then I want you to choose who do you think is going to win.
And is this going to be due on an article on Live in Limbo anytime soon or something?
Sure. I think that would be a great challenge. It would broaden your mind too.
All right. Well, I will go with the dance and electronic or EDM or whatever it's called. I hear this Aphex Twin. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
I hear that they're pretty darn good. So I will how about if I give that category a try, and I will let you know what I think.
I think that would be awesome. How about you, Mary-Anne? Which category do you listen to the least or have the least interest in?
I'm just going to go with the best historical album simply because I've never actually
listened to it. Is that a category?
It is. It's number 67, if you want to know. Because, I don't know, I've sort of had a dabble in all of the categories, so I can't really say that there's a least favorite. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's something that I dislike. It's just something I am not well versed in, or I have not actually even given a listen to. So
same challenge goes out to you then. Listen to everything.
I dug a grave here.
I'm going to take up this one. I'm going to do, I just found out now. There's a best spoken word album.
There is, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's not as good as when the
Joan Rivers is on it. Nice.
Yes, Joan Rivers. I saw that.
And James Franco. Interesting. Yeah. That's funny. Okay. And it's a great year for Canadians as well. A lot of nominations for Canadians. Arcade Fire, Drake all received nominations. How do you think Canada's doing, Mary-Anne?
I think we're doing okay. I think we're always sort of a little bit behind in terms of numbers, but the representation we have, I mean, Arcade Fire, it's so great to see them doing so well. And once again, to see their name up on the Grammy nominees. Drake is no surprise as well. Sam Roberts Band.
Tegan and Sarah too. Their Lego song, Everything Is Awesome, is also nominated.
That makes me really happy. I have been a Tegan and Sarah fan for many, many, many years, so that makes me really happy.
Gilles, I know you like Arcade Fire. What are your thoughts on Canada?
I do like Arcade Fire. No, I mean, I was frankly kind of surprised that they didn't get as much love for Reflector as they did for The Suburbs. I'm really, frankly, surprised at that. But, no, I think it's well represented. And I think it's good to see Canada doing so well because we really are. And I mean, we can extrapolate this to many other conversations if you want. But, I was talking about this with people when the Grey Cup was here. The Grey Cup went down a couple of weeks ago. It's like, why have a band like Imagine, like, a plaid kind of, alternative band like Imagine Dragons headline when, we have so much freaking talent in this country.
Like Justin Bieber.
Well, yeah, listen, and I argued this with somebody. I could see why they had Justin Bieber a couple of years ago, for what they tried to do. But I mean, honestly, like, there
it is a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. And what was funny is that I saw some people on Twitter were coming up with lists where, there was at least like 20, 30, 50 acts that they named that were Canadian that, like they would have loved to have seen other than an Imagine Dragons. So I think it's great about I think it's great about how we are starting to get the recognition. But I mean, that really was kind of started with Arcade Fire winning Album of the Year a couple of years ago, like they did for The Suburbs.
Yep.
And like Mary-Anne was saying with Drake, like he's an automatic, like that he's going to be there. But at the same time, not that I'm the biggest Drake fan, but he will wave the flag in terms of, great Canadian content being produced,
Absolutely.
So good on him for that, obviously.
I think, however, I'm going to say the Imagine Dragons did do a good job.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I didn't watch.
You didn't watch it. I only watch it for the halftime. Same thing with the Super Bowl.
Exactly. It was The Simpsons must have been on or something. So,
hey guys, this was an amazing show. This was fun. What did you guys think of this? Will you come back?
It was amazing. Absolutely. If you'll have me back, I will certainly love to be on the show again. It was so much fun.
Jills, did you enjoy this?
I love doing this. This was great. This was fun. As long as I've got my caffeine, I'm
good to go.
I'm okay with talking. So thank you so much for having us, Sean.
Mary-Anne, where can all of our listeners find you?
You can find me at Merzy Merzy Bean on Twitter. That's my main hangout. So come check me out and have a conversation.
Oh, you have to follow her because she's going to be doing live tweets from Fashion Week?
Ooh,
Tuesday,
Nice.
It is the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Ooh.
Yes. So don't miss out on that. It is, I quote, the sexiest night of the year.
Wow.
Their words, not mine.
When is that again? Tuesday?
That's on Tuesday.
Okay.
So don't miss it.
And do you have a blog too?
Oh, yes, I do. I forgot about my blog, Merzy Bean as well. So you can find the link on my Twitter as well.
Cool. We'll put that in the show notes. And of course, Jills, where can all of our listeners find you? You have a lot of places.
Ooh, I'm too hot and bothered now to talk after hearing about that. I got to give Mary-Anne a follow now. So
Yes.
just for that alone. I'll just keep it short and simple. My brand is ROCKthusiast. So ROCK, and then just enthusiast, but take off the EN. So mash the two words together like a great mix-up. ROCKthusiast. And you can find that on Twitter. And I've actually kind of relaunched my Facebook page of sorts. So either or, would love a follow, like, anything that you want to do. And then you'll find all of my stuff that I do through one of those two methods.
That's excellent. And you can find myself on Twitter at Sean Chin. Follow the show at Live in Limbo and use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation.
Sweet.
You can subscribe to the show on iTunes and, of course, find the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Everything is